How's everybody doing tonight? So tonight we're at Starbucks, cup of Cho 4. We're down along Meridian Road, just south of the freeway here. For those of you who are curious, got a little action going on in the background over here. Meridian Police out doing their civic duty, taking care of those poor people back there. Gotta give it to our officers, especially when they're doing the right thing for the right people. Yeah, true. Our officers have it hard. There's an awful lot of people that don't give them a lot of credit for the good stuff that they do, partly because of the number of bad apples that are out there. They got an awful lot of stress related to their job. I think one of the things we can do to help them out, we can take away some of those laws that they have to enforce, right? And how much happier do you think the police are going to be if they don't have to go around arresting you for lighting a little up every so often? Yeah. Who knows? Maybe even legalize it. They might be able to enjoy it and take a little stress off in the evening. But yeah, they're out here doing the good work tonight, taking care of people. So, who else we got here watching besides my buddy Robert and his daughter Katie? His wife Melanie. So, what have we got? Questions? It's 2 minutes into this now. I've been live. Anybody? I'm invited. All right. So, one of the things that actually had a couple interesting episodes come up over the past couple days. Got an opportunity to watch the Lieutenant Governor's debate last night. How many of you got to see that? Now y'all know who my favorite is because I'm a big fan of the vet. Vote the vet. You actually sit back. Hi, Evil Love. If you actually sit back and all you do is focus on Kristen Collum and what it is she had to say, you see every so often she's a little hesitant, but I did like her one answer where she actually stepped back and said, look, I don't know everything, but I got a lot of great people around me and willing to help me out, come to appropriate solution that works for all the stakeholders. That's just not the politicians or the corporate interests. That includes you and me, whether we're working for the company or just, suffering the side effects from what happens when the companies do get involved. And one of the big issues comes up, and I've caught a little bit of flack over this too. It's the whole fight for 15, the minimum wage. Hey, guys, give it up. It's done. Jeff Bezos came out, so he's going to pay everybody $15, regardless of where they work or how long they work. You know what else he came out and said? He's going to make sure he can do everything in his power to make sure the federal minimum wage is $15. Jeff Bezos has a shitload of money. That means he can buy those votes in the federal Congress. They're going to determine that the federal minimum wage is going to be $15. Fight's over. Give it up. So, what do we do to deal with fallout from all of a sudden everybody making twice what they were a month ago? That's going to be the tough one. Because we all know as soon as people get money, people like to spend money. As soon as people start spending money, demand goes up, prices go up. So we'll see exactly how the feds get around to doing it once Bezos finishes paying off everybody he needs to pay off to make it happen. As we all know, Bezos doesn't want any competition. And pricing the labor pool out of everybody else's pocket is one of the ways he keeps his prices down. Because that's the way Bezos does business. So, back to what are we going to do? Well, I think one of the best things that we can do right now is we can actually look to our unions again. 35 years ago, we went ahead and instituted some BS rule that the legislature liked to call right to work. Now, 35 years later, we've all come to realize it's not right to work, it's right to fire at will. You don't get to keep your job.
My dad calls it right to starve.
Yeah, you're right to starve. But we need to get the unions back in power. We need to give them some control, the ability to do collective bargaining on behalf of their members, which are members of our community. Help rebuild the strength of the unions and the collective bargaining power. It's essential to making our community work. In addition to that, as a nonprofit organization, I know some of you say it's a union, they're not nonprofit. Well, yeah, they are. But their goal is to work for their members. Make sure that their members are set up for success. Whether that's involved in retraining, making sure that working conditions are, the best they can be, everything considered. But the other thing is we need to make sure that when we bring our unions back, we bring them back under local control. There's no shortage of knowledge out there. You can Google just about anything you want. No shortage of knowledge out there for our local union leaders to be able to go in and understand what the current going rates are nationally, and be able to negotiate a fair local wage that's appropriate for our local community and local economy. We don't need to find ourselves subject to, Teamsters coming in and railroading our local economy, saying that our local employers have to pay some ridiculous amount simply because, the employers in New York are paying that. Well, we all know the wages in New York City and San Francisco and LA are going to be significantly different than what the wages in Idaho should be.
If we had unions, would we need OSHA?
Well, that's another good thing. If the unions are busy running things,
At least it could be member voted, because I know OSHA's had me do some stupid crap. That's not.
But if the unions are back in charge of workplace safety, that's an immediate response issue right there. Unions come in and say, our guys aren't working anymore until you fix this. It gets fixed. The process of going through OSHA right now, taking it back up, especially considering you got to go through the state version. And then if they approve you or disapprove you, the company can then appeal to the federal version of the labor board. It just gets ugly. Again, bring it back down to the local level, local unions being able to enforce work standards, being able to collectively negotiate for wages, and set a standard that's appropriate for our local economy. Ginger, Medicaid expansion. Another debate came out last night. Everything I've read about it, it's better for Idaho, straight up. Reason why is because there's, $5 million in federal taxes. It was our Medicaid taxes that were stolen out of the state, sent off to the feds. And it sucks that the feds right now are using that money to leverage us into doing something that really should have been a local project to begin with. It's one of those things where you need to start looking at great people like Scott Howard, who want to go up and cut out all of that BS that the feds keep pulling out of our paycheck. We had a nice little pilot. But, Janice came out last night with an awful lot of that stuff that was coming out of Idaho Freedom Foundation, or whatever it is they want to call themselves, this hyper-conservative think tank. That money's ours. Expanding the Medicaid project is going to be a net gain for Idaho. Reason why is because right now there's a threshold of poverty. It's called a poverty threshold. What it is when you try and get out of it, as you start approaching it, you start losing income. It's welfare income, it's Medicare, it's Medicaid. It's all of these government handouts. But as you start to become more independent, they start taking those benefits away from you, faster than you're becoming independent. So one of the things that the Medicaid expansion does right now is it continues to maintain those levels of benefits. That way, when you start hitting that threshold, you don't take a sudden dip in the amount of income or resources you have available to you. It maintains this nice, steady, even keel so that you're not fighting poverty in the process of trying to get out of it and become self-sustainable again. Meanwhile, all of those people, because they're able to work more than 20 hours now all of a sudden, they start getting into that zone where they can start working 30, 35. Some of them may even be able to get full-time jobs. And they won't be losing that $300 or $400 a month right now that's coming out of insurance would take out of their pocket, in order to make sure that their kids have insurance, that the kids get into the regular wellness checkups, make sure that they get into the regular wellness checkups. Everything considered, Medicaid expansion, it's good. Short term. That's the thing.
Expansion's not for kids, right?
What?
The expansion's not for kids. The kids are already covered.
Right. The kids are already covered. But parents, the parents will be covered. They'll be able to get in, do their own wellness check, for their own wellness checkups. They won't have to resort to emergency rooms. They'll be able to go to primary care providers, whenever something significant comes up. That's healthy parents raising healthy children. And when parents are in the right state of mind, in the right state of body, they're a lot more conscious of what's going on with their kids. They're not self-medicating to cover pain. They're not self-medicating to get out, get around their personal issues. So Medicaid. Can't say enough good things about it as a short-term solution. The thing is I think right now what we need to focus on, that's a quick fix. It's a Band-Aid. There's more that we have to do long-term goals, in order to continue to sustain an economic growth so that these people that are on Medicaid and Medicare and accepting welfare right now just to survive from day to day, they actually have work opportunities, that bring them up out of poverty, give them access to the things, give them access to, education for their children so that their children can go on to do great things. We need to start building that economy up. And as we build that economy up, all this Medicaid expansion, the need for it goes away. People be able to pay for their own insurance, people be able to pay for their own health care. But we need to get Idaho's economy back up to a level where we're no longer the state with the highest percentage minimum wage jobs. We need to get people working, and we need to get people paid for what they're worth. And again, this goes back to reactivating the unions, making sure that the unions are able to do good things. Like one of the issues I've actually considered as a proponent is actually enable 16-year-old kids to join the unions for apprenticeship programs and start using the apprenticeship programs towards high school graduation requirements, sort of a work study. Get the kids out in the field, give them an understanding of what a good trade is, how to do it, how to perform it right, and what it means to actually be a tradesman in Idaho, being a union tradesman in Idaho, working for quality companies, working with quality, peers, so that we can actually look at building greater trade craft in the state so that when we do experience these sudden surges of growth, we actually have a workforce that can go out and build the houses, build the buildings, build the apartment complexes, so that these people who want to come to Boise, want to come to Idaho, can actually come here and have a place to live, that isn't pricing everybody out of housing. Affordable housing, huge issue right now. And government subsidies to companies to come in and build houses is not the right answer. At the end of the day, it just makes those houses far more expensive than if we just made if we just built the workforce up properly over time. But yeah, anybody else got any questions? Anybody actually watched the lieutenant governor's debate last night? Come on, I want your opinion on it. What did you think of Kristen and Janice? How'd they do? Yeah.
What do you think about her comment that she wants to regulate all firearms and ammo?
Well, the thing is while she said that, that was in relationship to her experience while she was in the military.
Yeah, she said she wants to put in just the same check-in, check-out processes that they have in the
Yeah.
military.
And she did walk it back, though. She did say, one of the issues she has with control is proper education, making sure people understand how to properly use the firearms. And she did walk back that statement, saying, she doesn't have any problem with the way Idahoans are educated with regards to the firearms. We don't have nearly as many stupid accidents here as, you get in a lot of other states. Where people are just randomly shooting each other up, or, the woman who left her loaded pistol sitting in the back seat with her toddler, who then shot her in the back. For the most part, Idahoans don't make those gross, negligent mistakes. And it's not like she's actually going to be able to do anything like that. And yeah, she'll be the president of the Senate, but she's not the one actually voting on the bills. Unless it comes down to a tiebreaker.
It's still concerning to hear someone say that, though.
Yeah.
Because, the shall not be infringed. I understand it in the military. I get it, because they have protocol. They have responsibilities. Those guns aren't actually owned by that person. They're owned by us. So, of course, they have to have accountability there for their guns and training there, because they're going into war. We're not necessarily going into war, and I think that I know my 12-year-old can shoot just about as good as me. Not bad. Oh, no, she's 13.
So what do you guys think? Gun rights. Yep, shall not be infringed. What do you think about U.S. military personnel having greater restrictions on their ability and access to firearms than your average United States civilian? I know. I'm for it. Sorry. I'm for civilians having access to their guns. Reason why is because civilians should have equal access, or better access, actually, than the federal government should to the firearms, just in case our federal government ever turns tyrannical. But at the same point, I understand where she's coming from. Firearm education, firearm safety is a big issue. Not just across the U.S., but here in the States. And how often do we get the stories of all the California hunters coming up to hunt in the Idaho, and all of our ranchers have to go out and paint all their cows with fluorescent orange paint just so they don't get shot? Yeah. Horse racing, Prop 1. People want to gamble, let them gamble. In addition to that, we definitely need to see about making sure that the sin tax off of that goes towards Idaho State education. Whether it's our K through 12 programs, or whether or not we help alleviate a certain situation with our higher education systems, particularly our 2-year colleges like College of Western Idaho and some of the others. Being able to work on getting these community colleges down to an affordable price for people who, at least want an associate's degree and are getting prepared to go on to a 4-year. We want to be able to make that more affordable for them. Yep, you're right, Darcy. No compromise on the 2A, regardless of who the governor or lieutenant governor is.
Well, I'm Prop 1. I'm pro Prop 1. But what I don't like is their deceptive ads. Their ads are deceptive. They are lying in ads. They are not telling the truth. That's my biggest problem with Prop 1. is there deceptive ads?
Yeah, Prop 1 is being a little bit deceptive. Got an awful lot of stuff coming in with regards to Prop 1. A lot of information. Some of it's disinformation. It's one of those things where currently, Janice Geacham last night, or McGeacham, was actually talking about how she, if she was lieutenant governor, would go about rewriting Proposition 2 if it got passed in such a way that it wouldn't even begin to resemble what it is now that the people are voting on to approve in November. Why not go ahead and do the same thing to Prop 1 once they get it in? And go ahead and allocate a little extra of that to make sure their schools are funded. And if we're going to go ahead and allow citizens in, let's make them profitable. Let's make sure they're actually paying to make Idaho better rather than just help creating, the cesspool of gambling and inequity, all of our conservative values frown upon so greatly.
Well, and when did the government have the authority to dictate our morality?
Right? Government morality, government enforced morality. Isn't that just a crock? No, I'm not a big fan of Prop 1 because I'm not a big gambler myself. But Idahoans are going to gamble. We can either take their money here in the state or we send them across the border to Nevada or over to Duck Valley, send them over to one of our 2 reservations that have actually set up casinos on them. Idahoans are going to gamble. Just accept it.
Well, I'm not much for gambling either, to tell you the truth. I do have kind of a different personality, so I try to stay away from the best I can. But that doesn't mean that I have the right to tell somebody else that they can't do what they want with their money.
If you are going to gamble, if you're going to do the 50-50 with it, if you're going to bet against the house, we all know the house wins when you gamble. Every time. That's why you don't bet. The house wins. And as long as the house is winning, go ahead and have the house share some of it with the state, right? All right, the coaches. Boise State University football coach. Highest paid state employee. Makes more than the governor, man. What is his allocate? Isn't he closing in on 7 figures right now? Just to coach for Boise State University?
He's a state employee?
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Yes. The head coach for the Boise State football team is a state employee, and he makes more than anybody else in the state.
I think he signed a contract for $2.3 million. I don't know how long.
$2.3 million. How many years did he sign it for? What, did he sign up for 2? Did he sign up for 3?
I don't know.
They paid him $2.3 million for 2 years.
Is that 2 years? Wow.
At least got a 5-year contract out of him.
Something, yeah.
Seriously. Highest paid. I know he brings in money for the college. A lot of that, the alumni comes in. But, he is getting paid by the university. Except the university funds are allocated by the state.
Yeah.
Sort of a really confusing, who owns what money to be paying who with.
Sort of roundabout a state employee. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I thought that was the university, but the university is funded by us.
Yeah. It is a state university. It is funded by the state. And one of the highest paid employees is getting paid $2.3 million for, some undefined contract. Even if, it's a 5-year contract. That's still high 6 figures, man. Every year he's bringing in more than $500,000. Yeah. We can do better than that. The other thing is he actually that good? What's our record this year?
I don't know. I don't watch football.
Hey, Chris, you paying attention? Right, Chris? You coach for $150,000 a year. It's Boise State's record right now. How many football games have we won this year?
She just follows it better than I do. I'm not really.
Hey, let me check this real quick. Boise State University. We actually got to check Boise State. Reason why is because if we go with BSU, we end up with Ball State University. We're not interested in Ball State University football. So let's see. What have we got here? Oh, tomorrow we're going up against Colorado Rams. Nice. Nice. So let's see. Boise's got 2, 3. Yep, we're running 3 for 3 this year. No, do you think a 3 for 3 showing is worth the $2.3 million contract? Oh, yep, top 65 of the state. Yep, all college employees. You know, whether it's the coach for Boise State, coach for Idaho, ISU, Idaho State, college deans, college presidents. Yeah. 65, all getting paid more than our governor is. Yeah, our governor is responsible for an entire state. Yeah, our football coach is responsible for, what, 26 people or so. It's a lot of money. I think that's definitely something we need to take a look at as far as accounting and responsibility. You know, is our football program actually worth that much? And really, is it? You know, is our football program worth $2.3 million over, you know, a period of 5 years? I know, fishing game director being forced to resign. Oh, Little made him resign? It's amazing.
Yeah,
Or Otter made him resign.
that's not Little Otter yet.
Sorry. Lieutenant Governor Little. You know, get so caught up in the elections this year, I seem to remember who's running more than I remember who's actually in those offices right now. So Otter made him resign. Got it. And the guy's a public figure. He is. You know, he understood the repercussions, you know, because it's not like that's new. I mean, the amount of grief people have caught over, you know, showing their African safari hunts off, you know, on social media over the past, you know, 5 years. You know, why anybody thinks they can honestly get away with that on social media, especially if they're in a prestigious position. I don't think Otter should have asked him to resign. But my understanding he was under an awful lot of pressure, particularly from conservation groups. And Fish and Game doesn't exactly have a solid reputation in the state right now as far as doing right by the people. You know, Fish and Game, a lot of corruption, top down. You know, a lot of people, you know, some of them with good intentions, you know, and just poor execution. An awful lot of people who thought they were really smart when they got into Fish and Game, and turned out they weren't as smart as they thought they were. But yeah, Fish and Game has a lot of problems from the top down. A lot of it's, you know, ideologically, they weren't actually suited for the job that they took on. You know, they had ideas about conservation. They weren't based in science. You know, They're based in ideology. This is what we're saving the planet for. This is what we're saving the wildlands for. This is what we're saving BLM for. We're saving it for this and we're saving it for that. Meanwhile, everything got completely misused. There needs to be a balance with regards to our land management. We need to be able to maintain public use. We need to maintain multi-use, that shared use. Be able to get people out there so they can enjoy those public lands, be able to make sure that our farmers and ranchers have appropriate access to them, and everybody's actually working in concert to preserve the land in perpetuity. Speaking of which, big issue, land issue, just came up. Trump is currently working on trying to remove certain roadless requirements for timber farming in certain wildlands, certain wilderness. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. Yes, a lot of those areas need harvested. They need to be going. They need somebody who can go in, do effective selective cuts, in order to trim out an awful lot of the dead wood, open up some of that areas for, appropriate wildlife grazing. When you get too many trees in an area, it ends up with an awful lot of underbrush. You start running into trouble with the elk herds, the deer herds. They're not able to forage in those areas as appropriately as they should. Clear out some of that, open it up so that the grass can actually grow. And you get forage in these areas where it's get the hunting further up.
It helps the trees out too when they're not right on top of each other.
Yeah, that's Ginger. She's out working my street team right now. Doing a good job having them out, doing great things for my campaign. Letting you guys know that I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursday nights for an hour, showing off all the good stuff, letting you know what I think of issues, trying to get an idea what you think, right? Absolutely, Darcy. Old Forest, we need to keep it. We need to keep it. We need to let the stuff grow, but we definitely need to thin it out so it can grow right. There we go. Let you guys see me again. Starting to get a little dark out here. We still got flashing lights in the background. Tow trucks have finally showed up. Good things going on. So, what else have we got? Old forest growth. Need to work on it. Need to clear it out. Proper land management. Keystone species introduction. Along with all the safety precautions, if you're going back into the wilderness, there's wolves and bears and wildcats out there. Don't be stupid. Don't try and pet the bears.
I don't care if they do have a hat on.
Don't go pretending that the wild bison or, the old matador thing. Remember that guy in Yellowstone? Ooh. Yeah, don't play with the wildlife like that. Be smart about it. Get out there, watch them, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the wildlife, watch them. As long as you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you, for the most part. And then again, just like wild animals, just like wild people, there's always that percentage that are going to do what it is you expect them to do. So, just like those wild people, you got to be prepared for those wild animals.
Now we're back to the Second Amendment.
Yeah, now we're back to the Second Amendment. See how we got that full circle back around? Yep.
Sorry, I tend to do that with
Bad management, old timber, seeing the old timber go. Need to keep that old timber. Need to let those old growths grow. Get those tall cedars. Get the old tall pine trees. The old redwoods. Ever seen all the stories about the big old redwoods? The ones that fall down and people would cut caves in them. Yeah, bears are good on the dinner plate. But that's the same thing with, the whole big timber thing there, Darcy. You got to let enough of them grow old enough to actually be worth putting on the plate. You can't go around harvesting cubs. No meat on those poor suckers. Let the bears grow. Back to that whole land management thing. Auction off our tags. And legitimately auction them off. Don't just give them to your rich buddies. And what was it? We had, 3 big game tickets that opened up. Somehow, some rich people got, rich people and new people got the 3 tickets that were being offered. Idaho. Come on, Jackie. All the cities in Idaho are wonderful. You go up to Haley, you go up to Sun Valley, Idaho City, Cascade, McDermott, even Nampa and Caldwell. Great cultural attractions there. Great things to do everywhere in Idaho you go. Boise. Occasionally you get those Broadway plays that come through, show off at the Ann Morrison Center for Performing Arts. Oh, we got ballet in Boise. We got the Boise Philharmonic. Seriously, that's one of the things I love about Boise and Meridian. You are an hour from absolutely any kind of recreation you want to do. You like city nightlife? Right downtown Boise. Ginger. One of the longest running goth scenes in Boise. Every Sunday night. Down at Liquids. You got the Balcony. A whole bunch of other clubs. You got our 6th Street Crawl right in downtown Boise. You love the nightlife. The nightlife's here in Boise. You want no prestige. You want class. You want dignified entertainment. You got our ballet. You got the Morrison Center for Performing Arts. You like a little more rough and tumble? We got roller derby, right? And who's our roller derby girls? You got any roller derby girls out there tonight? Yep. But seriously, we got roller derby. College hockey, amateur, minor league hockey, minor league baseball, college teams for just about everything. Boise State University is an excellent gymnastics program. And entertainment of just about any kind you want. Birds of Prey Birds of Prey Center out south of Idaho. Whitewater rafting just to the north. Less than a mile, you got launch points along the Payette. Or less than an hour, you got launch points along the Payette. Even some Category 4 rapids. Winter, you got skiing up in Bogus. Matter of fact, they've actually taken time out to go in and put summer recreation in up at Bogus. So, year round, 24/7. We're still small enough where the crime rate's low. Sort of small city feel, but you still got all of that big city entertainment. That soft blend between the two. Somehow Idaho manages to make it work. Boise manages to make it work. Beautiful things about here. Again, that's one of the other problems we're running into. Unprecedented growth in Boise. Now, we got Idaho Vision, Boise Vision, one of those. They're actually trying to slow down growth in Boise. Slow down the number of houses that are getting built, slow down the number of corporate structures that are going into place. Currently, they're fighting a truck stop that's going in on the eastern side of Boise right now, out towards Micron. It brings jobs, but as soon as that truck stop goes in, property values in the area go down. Yeah, how'd you like to have just spent $300,000 on a house that's only now worth 220, all because somebody decided to park a truck stop across the freeway from you?
Across the freeway, I could understand, but across your fence.
Yeah, other side of the fence. You know, I mean that's what it is. You know, you have Micron out there, east side of Boise. You know, yeah, the road opens up. It's 4 lanes both ways along Federal Way out past there. But, you know, 4 lanes doesn't exactly separate you from something the size of a industrial-sized truck stop. You know, especially considering that's one of the areas, you know, used to be Broadway was where they all got off the truck stop at. You know, nowadays are long-haul truckers making the truck stops a little bit further out. You know, we actually got a fairly nice center, you know, commercial centers right outside by Micron. Got Albertsons out there. Got all your Americana stuff. You got your Burger King, your McDonald's, your Wendy's. You know, all those corporate things you can find anywhere USA. Walmart. Yeah, I know. Someone's got to shop at Walmart because every place else is too expensive. That's the problem when you shop at Walmart. All those profits from shopping at Walmart, they go back to Arkansas. They don't stay here in the area. Yeah, shop local. Yeah, shop local when you can, please. Yeah, we got an awful lot of entrepreneurs here in the state. They make their own products. You know, they do good work. You know, seamstresses, tailors. You know, people make clothes here. They make other things. Sheet metal workers. You know, artists. All kinds of artists out here. Do great stuff. You don't have to go off to New York to buy a $2 million bank. What is it? What do you sell that for? $10 million? Sold a painting for $10 million that he turned around and shredded. Yeah. Nah. Work with a local artist. You actually get good art, not some of this pretentious stuff, you know, that they like to sell in New York galleries. I mean, we got great things here in Idaho. Great scenes. Statues, memorials. The Sacagawea statue down by Boris Station, right outside the Capitol building. Veterans Memorial Parkway, or Veterans Park. You know, up off of Veterans Memorial Parkway and along State Street. You know, right outside of Garden City. You know, memorials there. Great memorials. World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam. Currently in the process of setting one up there for our IAVA veterans, our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. Now, our 4,000 plus veterans that have died in that war since 2001. You want to know? Yep, definitely, Darcy. Right? I mean, we have some of the best local gunsmiths, don't we? You know, home built, you know, manufactured right here in the state. Lower receivers for your AR, sorry, SRs. They're your sporting rifles. We don't like the ARs, right? Because those are assault rifles. Yeah, but pick up those lower receivers for your sporting rifles. Some of the best gunsmiths, you know, around. And we got 3 or 4 good professionals. We got about a dozen good gun shops in the valley. I mean, come on.
Well,
we're supporting your Second Amendment all the way around.
Well, a lot of times what drives those local guys out is these big guys come in and say they can buy 1,000, you know, tables.
Right.
And you make the tables, so, you know, you can't afford to sell them for the same cost as someone who bought 1,000 from someone who's got machines doing it. So it takes people out of the workforce and kills our local stuff.
Come on, we all know how long IKEA tables last, right?
No, because I've never bought one.
I mean, you want to buy a good local table. It's sturdy and solid, one that's going to last, you know, until your kids can hand it off to their kids. Or are you just going to buy an IKEA? You know, you'll probably have to replace in 2 weeks. Shop local, man. Shop for products that last. Right? And that's the way you beat commercialism. You buy products that last. You don't buy products you have to replace in a year. Right? Like this laptop I'm talking to you on. Or the cell phone that I'm actually using for the hotspot. Or for my flashlight. Come on, buy things that last. Buy things that stick around. Buy things made by local producers that you know are going to last.
And if they don't, you can go back and talk to the guy instead of talking to somebody who works for somebody.
Right? Who wants to go talk to customer service because their stuff broke? Go talk to the guy face to face, right? Odin Works, yep. Odin Works, PWS. Come on, Darcy. We know Armalite's not the only one making those lower receivers these days. You know, there's about 24 different producers that all make some variation of it. But yeah, and some of them are even local.
I'm not going to name them, though. Not sure.
Come on, guys. We got about 10 minutes left. You guys got any other topics you want me to cover? No, this sort of sucks because all I'm doing here is giving you my opinion on things. You know, what this was supposed to be about was I listen to you. What are the things that are important to you? Now, I mean, I'm libertarian and all. I believe in your rights, all the time. You know, regardless of what they are, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. Y'all know what the 10th is, right? 10th is all those not listed above. Too numerous to actually be put down on paper. Right? All of our God-given rights. All those rights instilled us by our Creator. Oh, CPS. Yep, Darcy, big one. CPS. And I saw a posting on where Child Protective Services went in and took a young girl from their family, turned around, placed them in foster care with a pedophile, then turned around and adopted the poor girl out to somebody who decided to scald her in a tub of hot water that burned 80% of her body. Right? I mean, and they're not going to hold those people responsible. You know, the people who placed that girl with those two people, you know, should be held responsible as accessories. You know, they did not properly vet either the foster care parents that they placed them with, or eventually the adoptive mother who scalded the poor girl. You know,
Well,
we need to hold family court services. We need to hold child protective services. We need to hold them accountable when they make errors of such an egregious manner. I mean, a child without a voice is now dead. Dead. Because the state decided they needed to intercede where no intercession was necessary. And those state officials, you know, just like all the police lately, you know, who have walked into people's homes without a warrant and shot people dead because I thought it was my apartment.
Well, at least that's some kind of excuse. What about when they definitely know it's not, but they do it anyway?
Right? Yeah, but we need to start holding our government officials accountable. 100% accountable when they make mistakes of such an egregious manner that lives are lost. Yeah, I get it. Mistakes happen sometimes. But I mean, when somebody dies because you screwed the pooch.
And it happens way too often. It's more dangerous
Yeah.
in America, honestly.
And you don't learn from your mistakes. You know, when the second kid dies, because you made the same mistake. When the third kid dies, because you made the same mistake. You know, if at first you don't succeed, maybe skydiving isn't for you. If you can't learn from your mistakes, get a different damn job. One that doesn't involve the lives of people. Right? Your grandchildren. Right?
I help people with
Okay.
ideas, and that's
Mothers. You have caseworkers with no children. You know, it's one of the things, and this goes back to who we got running for office right now. You know, we got mothers running for state offices right now. Mothers. Yeah, these are women who have raised children. They're running for state office. You know, this isn't like 2 years ago when we actually elected somebody who couldn't carry a gun because he beat his wife up in Florida. You know, or some other year where some legislator had to resign because he wasn't paying child support. You know, these are mothers who have raised kids. You know, working mothers. They were raising them while they worked. They're raising them as single mothers. You know, I find it interesting when the state has finally reached a point where things are so bad, the people who would rather be home with their children and with their grandchildren are taking public office to fix an extremely broken system. And that says something about where we are right now as a state. You know, 48th in education, 50th in teacher pay. And we're still paying $40 million for a bogus internet contract that was supposed to provide internet to every remote school in the state. You know, we still got communities out there with no internet. Their school has no internet. And we got a state requirement that they all own laptops so that their kids can learn by accessing the internet.
I don't know about you.
An internet that's still not there.
I see that as a way of getting rid of the teachers. Sooner or later, people just plug in their computer.
Yeah.
Everything will be done through a computer, which that's not. I can't learn that way. I failed ESU classes because it's on
Right.
internet.
Computer learning. Yes. There is an advantage to it. I happen to enjoy computer learning. But you cannot learn everything from a computer. Every so often, a kid needs to talk to an adult who understands the situation, who understands the problem. Because some person who's sitting on the other side of a screen going off on some predetermined lecture is not going to be able to stop and walk a student through a problem. You know, help them understand. Oh, Jackie, I'm all for medical marijuana. I'm all for 100% decriminalization. I'm not sure decriminalization is actually going to work with medical marijuana, though. Because for some reason, when it comes to medical marijuana, they want it legalized and regulated. I don't know. What do you think is the solution to that? Legalized, decriminalized. Personally, right now, I'm thinking of going with a beer model. What do you think? You want to grow your own? You want to brew your own beer? You want to grow your own marijuana? Go ahead and do it. You know, you want to sell your beer, but you don't want to go big time? You got a little microbrew. Set it up in your garage. Pick up a license, sell it to your neighbors. Yeah, your micro. Grow a few extra plants in your garden.
Like tomatoes, they don't tell us how many tomatoes we can buy.
Right?
Those can cause all sorts of kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
Grow it. Of course, if you're selling it, the state's going to want their cut. Got it. But I mean, regulate our cannabis like we regulate our beer. Yeah, because sooner or later we're going to have the big corporations. Anheuser-Busch wants to start doing their cannabis program. You know, R.J. Reynolds, cigarettes, they want to do their cannabis program. You know, sooner or later these generic cannabis-like companies are going to come in with their mass-produced, pseudo-quality stuff. You know, your personal use, here it is in a roll, go in, pick a pack up off of the back counter at your local Jackson's, you know, or Tobacco Connection. Yeah, your Marlboro Greens, your Campbell Greens. You know, but personally, I think the beer model is the way to go. Idaho's Beer Alliance, they've been working hard with regards to getting themselves differentiated from wine. Yeah, but definitely the wine beer model, if we can do that with cannabis, you know, as well as being able to maintain stronger strains for medical purposes, they have quality control associated with them.
Sorry, did I get you?
Yeah, nah, you good, man.
Sorry.
You good.
I did not think I was going to get you. But it kind of got
It
my
was
shoulder
close,
down.
yeah.
Oh, no, I think I got it. Okay.
But, yeah. Legalize it. That way we're able to maintain certain levels of it. You know, if it reaches a certain potency, managed through state pharmacies, lower than that potency, you know, personal use, you know, neighbor use, you know, grow a little extra for the little old lady who lives next door.
Well, it's not just the medical and getting high off of either. It's all the different things that you
Right.
can use for it.
Oh, hemp, industrial hemp, hempcrete,
was actually
making
designed-
oil out of it,
the
hemp oil.
The original Model T was actually designed to run off of hemp oil, not
Right.
gasoline, because they figured that would be plentiful.
But I mean,
Way back
you
then.
can turn around several industrial byproducts that come out of it. Paper, oil. You know, you can actually create enough oil from the hemp byproducts. You're able to replace a significant amount of our fuel costs right now.
Biodegradable
Move
plastics.
towards biodegradable plastics, biodiesel for our vehicles. You know, we'll actually be able to use other things than electric cars. You know, I love electric cars. But the thing is, you know what the actual expenses are related to those? I mean, because you got to put lithium batteries in it. Where does the lithium come from? Somebody's got to mine it. What happens when you mine a lot of lithium from the earth? Create a lot of pollution.
And they don't run
Yeah.
on electricity.
Yeah.
Those machines don't run on electricity.
So it's not truly the renewable, do you think? Especially when you're turning it in and plugging it into a coal-powered outlet. We can do better with regards to our fuels. We can do better. Industrial hemp oil, definitely a good way to move towards that. Ooh, yeah, the Dallas Brothers. No, you do not gate off public lands. You do not. You know, those right-of-ways, when you purchase that land, those right-of-ways were created for a specific reason. You do not get to put gates on those. You know, you do not get to say that, okay, all of this BLM land that's on the other side of the gate is now my own private hunting reserve. Bullshit, motherfucker. Bullshit. Yeah. Fuck those guys. Louis, you're an asshole, man. But yeah. No, our public lands need to stay public, you know, but they need to be managed properly. They need to be managed in cooperation with the local landowners, with the local land users, all of our stakeholders, all the time. You know, whether it's conservation who want to be able to go into an area, you know, and do the bird watching, look at the wildlife, you know, revel in the biodiversity that is our natural wildlands. You know, while still being able to incorporate our ranchers, being able to go in and do that selective timber cutting so that, yep, yep, they can go back to Texas, stay there. You know, work with our ranchers, work with our foresters, you know, work with our miners even. As long as our miners are using ethical, clean methods of, you know, recovering those resources from the land so that we go back in and we can heal the earth after they're done, you know, harvesting those resources. And it sucks to admit it, but right now, Cadillac has a model of car that runs on a thorium battery. It's a nuclear-powered car, runs on a thorium battery. You know, Idaho's land is rich in thorium. You know, we can use little mini thorium batteries that'll power our cars for decades. You know, and it's sitting up there in our lands. But the thing is, we don't want to go in and poison our watersheds. We don't want to go in and destroy our biodiversity just to be able to pull that out for what amounts to massive consumerism. You know, is there a way to do it cleanly? God, I hope so. And being able to run on a thorium battery for 10 years, and think of the range. Never have to stop for fuel. All of those gas stations going out of business.
Can people really handle that much freedom, though? I mean, come on now.
Can people handle unlimited freedom? You know, be able to go from one end of the country to the other without stopping for gas.
Women aren't
Can we
gonna like
handle that freedom? You know, all the gas stations go out of business.
Convenience stores.
Yeah, all the convenience stores, you'd actually have to pack everything with you. Okay, now it's 8 o'clock. It's been great talking with you guys this evening. You guys have a great time. See you next Tuesday.